Welcome to the Knuckleheads of Liberty. Unless you think this is just some one-off local issue that's just happening in one place or another, this is really kind of coming top down right now. And maybe we can get to the next image here. Javier Becerra is the Secretary of Health and Human Services, and apparently he has some trouble identifying whether or not a man can be pregnant. We found out recently I guess he had to give testimony in front of Congress, and yes. So Lauren Boebert, I think she's a Republican congressperson, she was interviewing him and asking him some questions, and he was trying to drag his feet every which way but he could to try and not say that a man can't have a baby. And this is who we have at Health and Human Services, and as we just saw, this is not the only case. Here we also have our recent Supreme Court nominee, and who's on the current court, and she is, also had trouble in being able to define what a woman is. And who can blame them if this is kind of the way people are thinking nowadays, right? But one of the things that's disturbing is in that discussion, she was trying to get at, will the government essentially support sex changes for kids? You're talking about people who are minors, who are too young to make decisions, to bind themselves to a contract, to go out and buy a gun, to join the military, to buy a drink, and yet they can make a decision that's going to impact the entire rest of their lives by essentially, I guess I don't know how else to say it, but mutilating their genitals. So exactly. I don't know. What do you guys have to say about all this?
Okay, this is where I go on my tirade. Can we talk about his suggestion that the government pay for sex changes on children? Is this where I get to cut loose?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, but before I do that, I would like to recommend that Lauren and Tulsi run for president and vice president. And I don't care which one's which. Number one. I want to just clear that out of the air. Get that
Split ticket.
All right. But we're $30 trillion in debt. If this is the way the direction of the country is going to go, where the government is going to pay for sex changes on children, we deserve what we get. Here's what we deserve. We deserve to collapse monetarily and all of us to end up impoverished, walking around begging for food. Nobody can find any. Okay, that's what we deserve. And if and when that happens, if you run around going, God, why did you forsake us? It wasn't God that forsook us. It was us that forsook God, okay? That's what happened. And this kind of complete and utter, unbelievable nonsense is going to ruin a country already on a trajectory toward ruin. Ruin, folks, at 30 trillion and counting. And this kind of stuff they got money for this. They got money for this, but they can't even pay for the stuff they've already bought. Most Tim, of that was nonsense too.
Just to make it real for everybody, 30 trillion is like that's in the neighborhood of $100,000 a person. So a family like $400,000 or so. Just absolutely crazy.
There you go. Hit it, Leon.
Oh. Well, this thing about ruining the country is so true, and I totally agree, Tim, that all of these things, these madness that is happening in our society cannot end well for us unless we do something about it, and do something about it pretty soon. Apple has a operating system called iOS. There's a political operating system, and it's called insanity on steroids. That's our iOS, and that's what's going on. We have insanity on steroids going on. Here we have a government official who cannot say. I mean, since the dawn of time, we know women get pregnant, men do not. And now we have a government official in 2022 cannot say that a man cannot get pregnant. You know why? Because his political affiliations, which is the transgender movement, is now trying to tell us that men could get pregnant. That is what they're trying to tell us. Even though all of us know, all the science says that cannot happen. But Mr. Becerra and Biden and all these other people, all of a sudden, they have finally discovered, despite our 3,000, 4,000, 5,000, 10,000 years of history, they have finally discovered that they are just birthing people. It's not women having children or women getting pregnant. We are just birthing people. It could be a woman today and it could be a man tomorrow. We are all birthing people. This is insanity. And this will lead, if left unchecked, will lead to the collapse of Western civilization and the collapse of the United States of America as we know it. Something bad is going to happen as a result of all this craziness.
And do we deserve it?
Well, for going along with public ed, I think this is the price.
Yeah,
somebody elected these total
clowns.
Idiots.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, that's a very good question you're asking, Tim. I don't know which one. I think it was one of the founders or somebody in our history. I don't remember, but they did say that we deserve the government that we elect, right?
Yep.
So that's what we're doing. That's what we're doing right now.
Thank you for listening to the Knuckleheads of Liberty podcast.